And you always knew the bad news was coming with Todd, because he'd go, here's the thing. And he said, we're going to lose the orchestra in Dresden, and we have to do all of the conducting first. I do think there's a distinct lack of shame in society. And I think shame is very different to guilt. Guilt is...
All right, guys, let's dive straight into a situation where tension builds from the very first second. The conversation opens with a casual remark about bad news always being expected, but quickly shifts into something much heavier. Claims about a lack of shame in modern society. The discussion separates guilt from shame, suggesting one is useless while the other carries deeper emotional weight. From there, the narrative takes a sharp turn into Hollywood controversy, where Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are accused of bullying behavior behind the scenes. The focus then shifts to Cate Blanchett, who is presented as calm, controlled, and calculated in contrast to the chaos around her. What starts as a simple cultural observation quickly evolves into a layered story of reputation, influence, and alleged power struggles inside Hollywood's elite circle.
So it's sometimes good to be really simple. I mean, Matisse says this fantastic thing. It's just, don't try and be original. Just be simple.
All right. Now things escalate into a full industry controversy. Cate Blanchett's long-standing partnership with Chanel is highlighted as a symbol of elegance and legacy, built over years of trust and collaboration. But suddenly, the narrative shifts. Blake Lively reportedly steps into a campaign originally associated with Cate, raising questions about what really happened behind closed doors. Industry insiders suggest strategic repositioning, where one star is replaced while the original concept is quietly reshaped. The tone here becomes more investigative, as rumors of calculated moves and corporate decision-making start surfacing. Even the creative direction of a short film is allegedly altered to fit a new image. What should have been a stable campaign turns into a battleground of branding, influence, and reputation management at the highest level of fashion and entertainment.
Blake Lively is out and about in the UK promoting her One Simple Favor, right? Is that the name? Yep, she's out. She's wearing this Chanel head-to-toe V. Here's the look.
All right, guys, this is where the pressure really builds. The story deepens into private events, insider conversations, and emotional fallout. At a high-profile Chanel dinner in Paris, tensions allegedly surface when creative discussions turn personal, with subtle comments about outdated work and generational appeal. Cate Blanchett is described as quietly affected but composed, absorbing the situation without public confrontation. Meanwhile, Blake's campaign begins rolling out, but not without controversy. Old materials reportedly resurface, sparking backlash online. Social media reactions intensify, with fans questioning credit, ownership, and creative recognition. A powerful quote attributed to Cate circulates widely, hinting at the difference between building a legacy and building an ego. This section frames a conflict as not just professional rivalry, but a deeper struggle over respect, recognition, and control of narrative in Hollywood.
Oh, they're so look at these. They match my outfit. Look at those nails. Wow. Aren't they incredible? Those are amazing. I had time for that. I literally did it while it worked. It was a little chaotic. It was worth it.
All right. Now the fallout begins to spread. The campaign meant to elevate Blake Lively starts facing public scrutiny, with media outlets and audiences dissecting every detail. What was intended as a polished rebrand begins to unravel under criticism and online backlash. Scheduled appearances reportedly get canceled, and behind-the-scenes leaks suggest growing concern over PR management. At the same time, Cate Blanchett remains publicly silent, continuing her work with quiet professionalism. Instead of engaging in controversy, she shifts focus toward creative expression and long-term artistic projects. This contrast becomes central. One side battling public perception, the other maintaining composure and distance. The narrative here highlights how silence, when paired with consistency, can become a powerful form of response in high-pressure celebrity environments.
And the more I do, in a way, I think the less I know. And I've had a very eclectic and strange career that has taken me many places. But perhaps if there's any connective tissue in my career, it's the desire to know. It's the quest to unlock what it means to be human, that strange nub of fearful, joyful uncertainty that it is to be a human being. To live a creative life, it's fueled with uncertainty and doubt. It's the DNA of how you begin any project. You have to humble yourself and say, I don't know, and I'm here to.
All right, guys. This section zooms out into a broader reflection on behavior, industry patterns, and personal conduct. The discussion turns toward allegations of repeated conflicts involving Blake Lively and co-stars, suggesting a pattern of workplace tension and difficult interactions. Resurfaced interviews and behind-the-scenes accounts are used to support claims of unprofessional behavior and emotional friction on set. While some incidents are framed as jokes or misunderstandings, the accumulation of stories paint a more complicated picture of her reputation. At the same time, Cate Blanchett is portrayed as steady and disciplined, avoiding public drama while continuing her career with integrity. The contrast between the two figures becomes sharper here, one surrounded by controversy, the other maintaining a reputation built on restraint and professionalism.
Every role as a woman, because I am, don't really think about that. I do think there's a distinct lack of shame in society at the moment. I think shame is very different to guilt. Guilt is a very useless emotion. I don't know what you do with that. But shame and regret and the lessons one can learn.
All right. This is where the narrative reaches its most intense and controversial phase. The discussion expands into rumors of behind-the-scenes manipulation, alleged conflicts on major productions, and claims of influence over casting and crew dynamics. Stories surface suggesting tension between co-stars, shifting alliances, and power struggles within high-profile projects. The focus then moves to specific industry cases where creative control becomes a point of dispute, raising questions about authority and artistic ownership. Allegations of lobbying, rewriting scenes, and behind-the-scenes pressure add fuel to the controversy. The section frames Hollywood not just as an entertainment industry, but as a competitive environment where reputation, leverage, and influence often determine outcomes more than talent alone.
Article recently saying that Leighton and I were frenemies, and it's
frenemies. Is that the new term, frenemies?
Yeah, we're friends, but we're also enemies. And it's really strange because they always want to pit women against each other. You don't hear about like Penn and Chase hating each other and being jealous and competitive.
2 seconds later.
I think I'm just brunette because of the books.
And everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway. Third moment by me.
Remember Savannah.
It was another promise was no pet monkey. Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them. Come on, it was a joke. Lord have mercy.
Your wardrobe? That is important. Very good.
It's very important.
This is wardrobe.
This is wardrobe. This was on the return rack. I think it was hers. So I had to go and like...
All right, guys, final stretch. This is where everything comes together. The story highlights legal and contractual complexities, suggesting that certain agreements contain clauses tied to conduct and professional behavior. This adds a serious dimension to the conflict, where reputation doesn't just affect public image, but also professional rights and opportunities. Amid all the controversy, Cate Blanchett is portrayed as standing firm, refusing to be pushed aside or overshadowed. The conclusion raises questions about fairness, industry politics, and long-term consequences for everyone involved. It leaves the audience with a final challenge. Was this simply a case of competitive rebranding or something deeper within Hollywood's power structure? The video closes on uncertainty, inviting viewers to decide where truth and perception actually meet.